Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, we're showing you guys some secret unused and cut skulls on Halo 1, or Halo Combat Evolved, for MCC. So, if you guys remember, not too long ago, maybe like a year or so, there was a pretty big update for Halo 1 that added a lot of new skulls to campaign. And you know, most of these skulls were pretty much all of them actually were ported from Halo 2 Anniversary, also on MCC. And well, you know, in addition to all these new skulls that are added to Halo 1, which was pretty awesome, I must say, there were actually quite a few that, you know, were added, but were still cut from the game anyways. Or there were quite a few that were meant to be added, but were not, you know, like fully, you know, implemented correctly. So this is the skull list for Halo 1, like in the game files, and you can see there's actually quite a few skulls in there that either say like cut or not implemented, or you know, doesn't work or do anything. So for this video, we'll be going through all those skulls that were cut and didn't make it into the final update for Halo 1. So some of the skulls do actually still work and have certain effects, some of them do not. So let's start with the first one, which is the Assassin Skull, which is ported over from Halo 2. And it's not just exclusive to Halo 2 Anniversary, actually, it's also from Classic Halo 2. Now, the Assassin Skull makes, you know, all enemies, you know, inactive camo. But in Halo 1 Anniversary, the reason why the Assassin Skull, it does work in Halo 1, as you saw there, it made all the enemies in classic graphics invisible. But it does not work in Anniversary graphics for the most part. And that's because most, you know, Saber assets, Saber as in like, you know, Anniversary assets or models and textures like that, they don't support active camo. Some things do, like you can see like the plasma rifles the elites are holding, they become invisible when they're not firing them. And you know, certain enemies like the stealth elites will be turned invisible as well in Anniversary graphics. But you know, regular elites, jackals, grunts, whatever, they will not be able to turn invisible in Anniversary graphics, simply because the Saber engine that powers Halo 1 Anniversary graphics does not support it. And that's why the Assassin Skull, even though it's like, you know, it's there, it's implemented into Halo 1, it works for classic graphics, even on Marines, it doesn't work in Anniversary still. And that's why it's, you know, it was cut from the final update for MCC, because it's, well, it'd be pretty much useless in Anniversary graphics. Even if they did implement it, you could kind of cheat your way around it by just playing in Anniversary graphics to see pretty much all the enemies. Now, the next skull is the Jacked Skull here. This one, well, it's not surprising that this one doesn't work. It's, you know, it's also from Halo 2, because like I said, all these are ported from Halo 2. But the Jacked Skull basically makes it so that you can only get into vehicles by boarding it and hijacking it from an enemy. Well, that doesn't make sense for Halo 1 because you can't board vehicles in Halo 1. That function did not exist until Halo 2. So, you know, even though the skull was, you know, added onto the skull list for Halo 1 in the game files, if you actually enable it, it doesn't do anything. Actually, it doesn't even prevent you from getting the vehicles in the first place. As you saw there, I could still get in. Now, this next skull, the Master Blaster Skull, is a co-op skull. And, well, I actually didn't have anyone to test it with at the time, so I don't know. I mean, according to the notes here, it was just simply not fully implemented, because it scales with co-op count or something like that. So I don't know if Master Blaster does anything or not. The next one is the So Angry Skull. That means like when brutes are enraged, they explode. Obviously that doesn't work on Halo 1 because, well, there are no brutes. So not surprisingly, the So Angry Skull doesn't do anything. The next one here is the Streaking Skull. That's where your shields slowly decay and drain over time, even if you're not taking any damage or anything. You're just walking around, just standing there, your shields will go down. Well, that one, you know, it's on the list, but it was not fully implemented. So, well, you know, that's what the notes say. It doesn't go into any other details for why it's not fully implemented, but it just wasn't. And enabling it in-game also doesn't do anything either. So, as you can see, nothing happens there. This next one, it would kind of make sense. It applies to hunters. It's a Swarm Skull, and it's where hunters are more deadly. And, well, you know, I enabled it because, you know, Halo 1 does have hunters, of course, but it doesn't have any effect, I don't think. as far as I can tell. The notes for the skull in the game files, it says it's not fully implemented. Unlike the So Angry skull that says like not supported at all because there's no brutes. For the Swarm skull, it's not fully implemented, but as far as I can tell, it makes no difference at all. So you know, I'm not entirely sure. This next one is the They Come Back skull. This one applies to the Flood, which Halo 1 does have Flood, but not the correct Flood to support this. This applies to Flood combat forms that are revived by Flood infection forms. Now, yes, Flood combat forms in Halo 1 can sort of revive themselves, as in they play dead and they get back up by themselves, which you'll see here. This Flood combat form, he goes down, but he's not actually down forever. He does revive and get back up. That doesn't count for this skull. It has to be Flood that gets revived by an infection form, which Halo 1 did not support. That wasn't until Halo 2. So that's why the skull doesn't work. And again, that's another not fully implemented skull. Well, actually, no, that's a not supported skull in this case, simply because there's no Flood infection mechanics in Halo 1. Now, this next one is the Cowbell skull. This one was actually not from Halo 2 Anniversary. It's actually from Halo 3. It was first introduced in Halo 3, I should say. And basically, it makes explosions bigger, or I think like technically it makes like physics impulses like bigger, but either way, like basically explosions with the Cowbell skull was seen bigger and make you like fly further. But this one is a not supported skull, meaning none of it was implemented at all, as far as I can tell. And as you can see, enabling it did nothing. Explosions didn't seem to be bigger or anything, doesn't seem to launch anything. Because in Halo 3, people could use the Cowbell skull to like, grenade jump higher or launch themselves further and stuff like that. Now the next skull here is actually similar to the Cowbell skull. It's the Feather skull. This one was from Halo 2 Anniversary, and if you ever used it before, especially with the Scarab skull, this skull sends you flying near an explosion. It makes you like super light. Pretty much everything is like super light, like punching, like even like a crate sends the crate like, flying. And in this case in Halo 1, even though the skull was never, officially implemented, it's on the list, and if you activate it, it actually does work. It, as you can see there, it launches the Warthog, it launches me higher when I grenade jump, but for some reason, according to the notes, it says the skull doesn't do anything of interest, even though it works in Halo 1, which is strange, because, it works there. Now, I thought maybe because by, like, does nothing of interest, it means, like, it overlaps with the Sputnik skull, which was also brought over from Halo 2. As you can see here, right now the Sputnik skull is enabled, and it seems like the Sputnik skull does mostly the same thing as the Feather skull. So I thought maybe that's why it was, cut and left out or left unused, because it's the same as the Sputnik skull, and if you stack it, it would do nothing. But I was wrong. I tried stacking the Sputnik skull and the Feather skull here, and as you can see, it launches things like crazy and sends them flying. And if I use the skull myself with a grenade, that also launches me and sends me flying instantly, just like it would do in Halo 2 Anniversary. That's, people can send themselves launching far away when they combine the Sputnik and Feather skull together. And that's basically the same thing here. If you combine Sputnik and Feather in Halo 1, it does the exact same thing as Halo 2. So the Feather skull is a perfectly fine skull in Halo 1. It's just not included, not enabled, or, there for whatever reason. Now this next skull is the I Would Have Been Your Daddy skull. This one, lets enemies say like funny dialogue. But this one was not, did not work because apparently Marty O'Donnell didn't set up what's called skip fractions to allow for sound permutations to support the I Would Have Been Your Daddy skull. So that's why that one wasn't included. And that's according to Cornman actually on Twitter and in the game files here as well. And then the last skull there was the Prophet Birthday Party skull, which doesn't work obviously because there's no prophets in Halo 1. And then there's one more skull here, which is the Envy skull, also from Halo 2 Classic actually in this case. And this is one where for Master Chief characters, when you play as Master Chief in campaign, using your flashlight, instead of turning on the flashlight, it makes you go active camo instead, just like the Arbiter. Well, this one is a not supported skull, and as you can see, if I turn it on, enable it and everything, turning the flashlight on doesn't do anything. Doesn't make me camo, doesn't matter which graphics mode I'm playing in, Anniversary or Classic. This is not a case of like Anniversary textures not supporting camo. And of course, there's actually one more skull that I almost forgot about, but this one is actually very recent. This was ported over to Halo 1 around when the Halo 3 update came, when Halo 3 came to MCC PC. And the Acrophobia skull, which is what it is, lets you fly around wherever you want, whenever you want. It's a really awesome skull, and I say this in every video, but it is pretty much the best skull in like all of Halo. And you can use the Acrophobia skull to, I don't know, like speedrun if you want, or just fly around and explore it out of the map, stuff like that. A lot of crazy stuff you can do with the Acrophobia skull. But even though the Acrophobia skull works perfectly fine, it's just like, you know, in Halo 3, it wasn't included in the official update for Halo 1 or at all. It also works for Halo 2, just want to put it out there, and ODST. But, you know, even though it works fine, it's not officially supported yet. But yeah, so there you guys have it. That is all the cut and unused skulls for Halo 1 or Halo CE that exist on MCC. Some of them, you know, all of them can be enabled, and some of them actually do stuff. But a lot of them, you know, don't do anything. Either they're not fully implemented yet, or they require certain features or characters that just simply don't exist on Halo 1. So yeah, there you guys have it. That basically wraps up for this video. Hopefully you guys did find it to be interesting, and if you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like. Leave thoughts in the comments. Anything else we need to check or look into, any questions you have, or stuff you want me to, you know, investigate, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll definitely do my best to look into it when I get the chance. But other than that, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys.